The Film Security Office in Los Angeles says the Northwest is heavily involved in exporting pirated videotape movies. That plus local video piracy costs the movie industry an estimated $700 million a year. Last night, consumer reporter Randy Ripplinger told us about some illegal tapes at Portland's video shops. But apparently there isn't much enforcement against this sort of thing.
That's right, Kim. To the chagrin of many of the movie makers, that isn't happening. So the motion picture studios have developed their own investigation team, which they call the Film Security Office. The FSO was organized by major motion picture companies to root out movie pirates. The office's investigators are all former FBI agents. Since its inception, the FSO has detected a dramatic rise in videotape piracy, easily done by recording from one machine to another. Some pirated copies look pretty good. Others, pirated even before the video stores get them, often have very poor quality. And in some countries, the pirated movies are playing in bars before the theaters show the films. Film security agents say the Northwest is a link for overseas piracy.
Over the past several years, we have received a lot of complaints about the Seattle and the Portland areas because they are major metropolitan centers and because they are both, in effect, seaports.
In the Portland area, there have been a couple of big videotape piracy busts by the FBI, the latest one 3 years ago. The FSO is disappointed in the fact that the Bureau and the U.S. Attorney in Portland haven't done more.
We don't have amount of agents to send every time, you know, a store is running off a couple extra copies. And some U.S. Attorney's office don't have prosecutors to prosecute every time a store runs, like I mentioned, a few copies. I think mainly we're looking for distributors.
The Film Security Office points out a new law which makes piracy for profit a federal felony, carrying a maximum $250,000 fine and 5 years in prison. But as the U.S. Attorney's Office in Portland puts it, which bank robbery do you want us to drop in order to chase video pirates? So the FSO is doing what it can on its own. It offers a $5,000 reward for turning in a pirate. It has already established bureaus in New York, London, Paris, Johannesburg, and Hong Kong. Soon it hopes to have a branch office in the Northwest.
We are planning to beef up our investigative staff, and we will have full-time representatives in those areas in an undercover capacity. In the instance of the video retailer who is illegally duplicating legitimate material, we would probably sue him civilly.
But in the absence of a Northwest investigator now, the FSO says many video consumers are giving them tips, usually after viewing a tape with a fuzzy picture. But there are a few other ways you can spot a bogus movie. All tapes should have a professional-looking label, both on the front of it and on the spine. Nothing handwritten should be on those labels. The following rules apply to new releases only within the last year or so. New Paramount releases should have the letters PAR stamped on the back of the cassette in bright blue. Universal Studios stamps the letters MCA, and most other studios use an MAG-1 stamp. Warner Brothers uses a little sticker with W's printed on it. Again, those codes have just been developed and will only be used on those cassettes that have been released in the last year. There are some common sense tips too, Kim, like for instance, don't rent any tapes that have commercials in them or any other signs of being recorded off broadcast television.
Is it against the law to do that if you have a VHS recorder or a Betamax, if you hear movies coming on?
Recorded off television?
Yes.
Of course, that's the famous case that was appealed in California. The current decision is going against homeowners. And the FSO says, yes, that's piracy, but nobody's prosecuting any of those cases.
It would be hard to catch everyone.
That's true, and they're, of course, going to work something out in the courts. It'll probably end up in the Supreme Court.
Okay, Randy, thank you.
You bet.